Beverly's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She sat on the edge of her bed, towel wrapped tight around her body, wet hair dripping cold trails down her spine. The steam from her shower still clung to the air, mixing with the neon glow of Seoul's city lights bleeding through her thin curtains. Her phone screen lit up her face in the dark room, and the mascara she'd cried off earlier left gray smudges on her cheeks. 12 missed calls. All hers. All to Kelvin. 0 calls back. She stared at his contact photo, that smile that used to make her forget how many times he'd hurt her. Her thumb hovered over his name. She was so tired. Tired of begging. Tired of wondering if he was with someone else right now, laughing at her messages, showing them to his friends. Her chest felt tight, like something was breaking inside that she couldn't name. She started typing. Not thinking. Just feeling. Baby, I need you now. I'm so wet. I hate that you ignore me. I hate that I still love you. Please just answer me. Raw. Desperate. Humiliating. She hit send before shame could stop her. The message whooshed away into the digital void, and Beverly dropped her phone onto the mattress like it had burned her. She pressed her palms against her eyes, feeling fresh tears push through. What was wrong with her? Why did she keep doing this? Her phone buzzed. Her heart jumped. Finally, Kelvin was. She grabbed the phone, and her entire body went cold. The message hadn't gone to Kelvin. It had gone to Mr. Kang, do not text. No. No, 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 no. Beverly's hands flew to her mouth. Her stomach dropped so fast she thought she might actually be sick. She stared at the screen at that name, at the catastrophic mistake she couldn't take back. Kang Joon-Seo. The building owner. The quiet, terrifying man everyone whispered about. The man who walked through rooms and made people straighten their backs without saying a word. The man whose dark eyes had looked at her exactly once, really looked, and made her feel like he could see every secret she'd ever kept. She'd saved his number weeks ago when he personally came to thank the care facility staff. She'd labeled it "Do Not Text" because something about him made her nervous in a way she couldn't explain. Not fear exactly. Something deeper. And now she'd just sent him that. Beverly wanted to disappear. To melt into her bedsheets and never exist again. She started typing apologies, deleting them, typing again. Nothing sounded right. Everything made it worse. 3 minutes of paralyzed horror passed. Then her phone buzzed again. She almost didn't look. But her eyes betrayed her and found the screen. Mr. Kang, do not text, you sound like you are hurting. Beverly stopped breathing. Mr. Kang, do not text, are you safe? Not anger. Not mockery. Not the disgust she deserved. Concern. Her vision blurred with new tears, but these felt different. She didn't know what to call them yet. Before we continue, I need to know, have you ever sent a message you couldn't take back? One that changed everything? Drop a like if your heart is already racing, and comment below where you're watching from. Because what happens next between Beverly and this dangerous, impossible man will shatter everything she thought she knew about love, safety, and the message that was never really a mistake at all. Beverly couldn't look away from those 2 messages. You sound like you're hurting. Are you safe? She read them 5 times. 10 times. Trying to find the trap, the mockery, the disgust she'd earned. But the words just sat there on her screen, impossibly gentle from a man who was anything but soft. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. What could she possibly say? Beverly, I'm so sorry, Mr. Kang. That message wasn't meant for you. I'm mortified. Please forget you saw it. The dots appeared immediately. He was typing. Beverly's heart hammered against her ribs. Mr. Kang, do not text, I don't need apologies. I'm asking if you're safe. Something in her chest cracked open. When was the last time someone had asked her that? When was the last time Kelvin had noticed she was hurting at all? Beverly, I'm safe from everything except my own choices. She didn't know why she typed that. It was too honest. Too revealing. But her filter had dissolved somewhere between the shower and the catastrophic text message, and she couldn't find it again. His response came slower this time. Mr. Kang, do not text, that's the hardest kind of danger. Beverly set her phone down and pressed her hands to her face. Who is this man? She'd been in Seoul for 3 years now, and she still felt like a ghost in someone else's life. Beverly Okafor had come to South Korea the way desperate people always do, chasing a promise that felt better than staying still. At 24, she'd signed up with a caregiving agency that placed Nigerian women in Seoul's elder care facilities. The pay was triple what she could make at home. Enough to send money back to Lagos every month. Enough to help her younger siblings stay in school after their father died and their mother's shop barely kept food on the table. Enough to convince herself she was doing something meaningful, even when the loneliness ate her alive. She worked long shifts at Serenity Gardens, a private care facility in Gangnam where wealthy Korean families sent their aging parents. Beverly was good at her job, patient, gentle, fluent enough in Korean to comfort her patients when they forgot where they were. The elderly women loved her. They called her Bibi and braided her hair during their good days and held her hand during their bad ones. But at night, alone in her cramped apartment in Hongdae, Beverly became someone else. Someone small. Someone who loved a man who treated her like an option. Kelvin. For years together. 2 years of long distance after she moved to Seoul. He was still in Lagos, still talking about his business ventures that never quite materialized, still charming enough to make her forget he'd cheated on her 3 times that she knew about. Probably more that she didn't. He apologized beautifully. That was his gift. Kelvin could make you believe the sun rose just to hear him say he was sorry. And Beverly forgave him every time, because somewhere deep inside, she still believed in the man he promised he would become. But lately, something had shifted. Last week, she'd seen his Instagram story, Kelvin at a beach resort with a woman's hand visible in the frame, fingers intertwined with his. When Beverly called, frantic and hurt, he laughed. Just friends, babe. Why are you always so insecure? That word. Insecure. Like her pain was a personality flaw. Like noticing his lies made her the problem. Tonight, he hadn't answered a single one of her 12 calls. And Beverly finally understood. She was convenient for Kelvin when he needed validation or money or someone to blame. But she wasn't chosen. She'd never been chosen. That's why she typed that message. That raw, humiliating confession. Because she was so tired of shrinking herself into something lovable. And then there was Kang Joon-Seo. Beverly barely knew him. Barely understood why her body reacted the way it did whenever he was near, like standing too close to something powerful and contained. 3 weeks ago, he'd shown up at Serenity Gardens unannounced. He owned the building, but landlords never visited. They sent assistants. They sent lawyers. They didn't walk through care facilities in expensive dark suits, personally thanking exhausted staff members for their work. But Joon-Seo had. He'd moved through the facility quietly, observing everything. When he reached Beverly, he'd stopped. Their eyes met. And for 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours, she couldn't breathe. "You're Beverly," he'd said. Not a question. He already knew. "Yes, Mr. Kang. The residents speak highly of you." She'd nodded, unable to form words under the weight of his attention. "Thank you for your care," he'd said simply. Then he'd handed her his business card. "If you or your colleagues need anything, contact me directly." Beverly had saved his number that night, fingers trembling as she typed, "Mr. Kang, do not text." Because something about him terrified her. Not in the way Kelvin's anger did, sharp and unpredictable. Joon-Seo's presence was different. Controlled. Absolute. Like he could unravel you with patience instead of rage. People whispered about him. About his businesses that looked legitimate but felt dangerous. About the way problems disappeared when he made phone calls. About the woman who'd left him years ago and how he'd never looked at anyone the same way since. Beverly told herself to stay away. Men like that didn't mix with women like her. She was temporary. Invisible. Safe in her smallness. But now, staring at his messages on her phone, she wondered if safety was just another word for slow suffocation. Her phone buzzed again. "Mr. Kang, do not text the person you sent that message to. Do they deserve you?" Beverly's breath caught. How did he know? How could he possibly? "Beverly, I don't know anymore." "Mr. Kang, do not text, then perhaps that's your answer." She stared at those words until they blurred. until she realized she was crying again, but this time, the tears felt different. Like waking up. 3 days of careful text messages with Joon-Seo had made Beverly feel something dangerous. Hope. They talked late at night when she couldn't sleep. Nothing inappropriate. Just real. He asked about her day. She told him about the elderly woman who thought Beverly was her daughter. He shared that he'd lost his mother young, understood the ache of caring for people who were disappearing slowly. Beverly had started smiling at her phone like a teenager. Then Kelvin showed up at Incheon Airport. She got the text at work, middle of her shift. Surprise baby. Just landed. Come get me. Beverly's stomach dropped. No warning. No discussion. Just Kelvin, deciding her life for her from thousands of miles away, the way he always did. She left work early, hands shaking on the subway. Part of her, the part that remembered who she used to be before she became small, wanted to turn around. To text him that he couldn't just appear in her life whenever he felt like it. But the louder part, the part trained by 4 years of accommodating him, whispered, maybe this means he really loves you. Maybe he finally chose you. When she saw him at arrivals, leaning against a pillar with that heartbreaker smile, her body betrayed her. Relief flooded through her chest even as warning bells rang in her head. Beverly. He pulled her into his arms, and she let herself sink into the familiar smell of him. I couldn't lose you, baby. I had to come. Kelvin, you didn't tell me. I wanted to surprise you. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. Public and possessive. You're not mad, are you? She should have been. But his hands were in her hair and his voice was doing that thing, that soft, wounded thing that made her feel cruel for having boundaries. How long are you staying? However long it takes. He grinned, grabbing his single duffel bag. I'm here now, baby. Everything's going to be different. The subway ride back to her apartment should have been romantic. Kelvin held her hand, told her how much he'd missed her, how empty Lagos felt without her. But he didn't ask about her life. Didn't ask about her job or her friends or how she'd been surviving alone for 2 years. He talked about himself. About how hard things had been. About the business deal that fell through. About friends who'd betrayed him. About his landlord being unreasonable. Beverly listened, nodding in the right places, and felt something cold settle in her chest. When they reached her studio apartment in Hyundai, Kelvin's smile faltered. This is it. He looked around the cramped space, her single bed, her tiny kitchen, her clothes hanging on a rack because there was no closet. Baby, you've been living like this? It's affordable. I send most of my money home. To your family, I know. He dropped his bag heavily. While you live in a shoebox. Beverly bristled. It's not that bad. I'm just saying, you work so hard for people who don't appreciate you. He pulled her close, softer now. That's why I'm here. To take care of you for once. The words should have felt good. But something about them tasted wrong. That evening, as Kelvin showered in her bathroom, already making himself at home, Beverly's phone buzzed. Mr. Kang, do not text. Did something change? You haven't replied. Her heart jumped. She'd been so caught up in Kelvin's arrival that she hadn't responded to Joon-Seo's last message. She started typing. Beverly, just busy with work. The lie felt heavy. But what was she supposed to say? My boyfriend showed up unannounced and I don't know how I feel about it? Before she could send anything else, the bathroom door opened. Kelvin walked out, towel around his waist, hair dripping. His eyes went straight to her phone. Who are you texting? No one. Just. He crossed the room in 3 strides and plucked the phone from her hands. Beverly's blood went cold. Mr. Kang? Kelvin's voice sharpened. Who the hell is Mr. Kang? He's the building owner. It's nothing. Did something change? Kelvin read aloud, his jaw tightening. Why is your landlord asking you that? Why does he care if something changed? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Beverly? He stared at her and she recognized that look. The one that came before accusations. Before he twisted everything into evidence of her betrayal. I come all this way and you're texting some man? Kelvin, you're being ridiculous. Am I? But his anger shifted, melted into something worse. Hurt. Wounded. I left everything to be with you, and this is what I come to. Beverly felt the familiar trap closing. The one where his feelings became more important than her truth. Where defending herself made her the villain. "There's nothing going on," she said quietly. He's been kind to me." "Kind?" Kelvin handed back her phone, but his eyes stayed cold. Okay, baby. I trust you." He pulled her into his arms, but his grip felt different. Tighter. "I just got jealous. You know how much I love you, right? I can't lose you." Beverly nodded against his chest, but she couldn't make herself say it back. That night, Kelvin fell asleep in her bed like he belonged there. Beverly lay awake, staring at the ceiling, and realized she hadn't asked him a single important question. How long was he staying? Where was he living before? Did he even have a return ticket? The next morning, while Kelvin slept in, Beverly checked her messages. Joon-Seo had replied hours ago. "Mr. Kang, do not text, I understand. Take care of yourself, Beverly." Something about those words felt like goodbye, and it hurt more than it should have. 2 days later, Joon-Seo appeared at Serenity Gardens. Beverly was in the hallway, updating patient charts, when she felt him before she saw him. That shift in the air that happened whenever he was near. She turned. He stood 10 feet away, hands in the pockets of his dark coat, watching her with those unreadable eyes. "Mr. Kang." Her voice came out shakier than she wanted. "Is everything okay? I needed to check on the facility." He walked closer, slowly, like approaching something fragile. "And I wanted to see if you were all right." "I'm fine." His gaze traveled over her face, and she knew he saw everything. The exhaustion. The strain. The way she'd started disappearing again. "You look tired in a new way," he said quietly. Beverly forced a smile. "My boyfriend came to visit. I'm just adjusting." Something flickered across his face. "I see." They stood in silence. The fluorescent lights hummed. Somewhere down the hall, a television played a Korean drama too loud. "Beverly." His voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. "Some men arrive not because they want you, but because they're afraid to lose control of you." The words hit like cold water. "You don't know him." "I don't need to." Joon-Seo's eyes held hers. "I know what it looks like when someone is being slowly erased. I've seen it before." "He loves me," Beverly said, but even she heard how hollow it sounded. "Perhaps." Joon-Seo stepped back, giving her space. "But love should feel like expansion, Beverly. Not suffocation." He turned to leave, then paused. "If you need anything, and I mean anything, you know how to reach me." Beverly watched him walk away, and her chest felt too tight to breathe. That night, she came home to find Kelvin on her laptop, applying for jobs he'd never follow through on. He looked up and smiled. "Hey, baby. How was work?" "Fine." She set down her bag. "Kelvin, how long are you planning to stay?" His smile dimmed. "Why? You want me to leave already?" "That's not what I said. I came all this way for you." He closed the laptop. "I thought you'd be happy." "I am. I need to know what the plan is." "The plan is us, Beverly." He pulled her onto his lap, but it felt like being pinned. "Isn't that enough?" And there it was. The question that wasn't really a question. The trap disguised as romance. Beverly nodded. Said nothing. Felt something inside her start to crack. Later, she'd find out the truth from Kelvin's friend who messaged her on Instagram. Kelvin had been evicted from his apartment in Lagos 3 weeks ago. Behind on rent. Burning bridges. He hadn't come to Seoul for love. He'd come because he had nowhere else to go. 2 weeks with Kelvin felt like 2 months. Beverly had forgotten how he could fill a space until there was no room left for her. He slept in her bed, used her shower, ate her food, and somehow made it feel like she should be grateful. The first time he took money from her purse without asking, Korean 150,000 she'd set aside for her phone bill, he'd been apologetic. "Baby, I'm sorry. I just needed to grab something quick. I'll pay you back." He never did. The second time, he didn't apologize. He was adjusting and needed time. Seoul was expensive. He'd find work soon. She understood, right? Beverly understood. She understood that she was being drained the way a battery drains when something keeps pulling from it without ever charging it back. She started picking up extra shifts at Serenity Gardens. Told herself it was to help with the added expense of feeding 2 people. But really, it was to avoid going home. Home had become a place that felt like holding her breath. Kelvin applied to 3 jobs and got no callbacks, but he spent hours on his phone, scrolling, laughing at videos, texting people Beverly didn't know. When she asked who he was talking to, he'd say, "Just friends," in that tone that meant, "Don't push me." He criticized small things. Her cooking was too bland. Her apartment was too small. Her job was just caregiving instead of something ambitious. Her clothes were too plain or too revealing, depending on his mood. And somehow, every criticism felt like concern. Like he was helping her become better. Beverly knew better. She'd read the articles. She'd heard the stories. But knowing something in your head and feeling it in your body were different things. And her body had been trained for 4 years to make itself smaller when Kelvin needed space to be big. One afternoon, she came home early and found him on her laptop, scrolling through her messages. "What are you doing?" He didn't even look guilty. "Just checking if we got any bills I should know about." "On my personal messages?" "Baby, we're together. We shouldn't have secrets." He closed the laptop. "Unless you're hiding something?" There it was again. The trap. "I'm not hiding anything." But that night, she checked her phone and noticed something. Mr. Kang's contact was gone. Completely deleted. Her heart raced. She checked her message history. Still there. He deleted the contact but missed the messages. Beverly resaved the number, this time under just KJS with no notation. She felt like a criminal for wanting to keep one door open. Her colleague Grace noticed first. "Beverly, you're dimming," she said one night as they changed shifts. Grace was older, Nigerian like her, with sharp eyes that saw too much. "I'm just tired." "No." Grace touched her arm. "You're dimming." The way women do when someone's taking their light. Beverly wanted to argue. But she just nodded and felt tears threaten. "Your man?" Grace asked gently. "He came to visit." "And now you're working doubles to avoid him?" Beverly looked away. "It's complicated. It's always complicated when we love men who don't love themselves." Grace squeezed her hand. "But you're worth more than complicated, sister." That night, Beverly found an envelope at the reception desk. Her name on it, written in clean handwriting. Inside, 200,000 Korean wons and a note. "This is not charity. This is choice." KJS. Her hands shook holding it. She wanted to keep it. Wanted the safety of knowing she had something of her own. But taking it felt like betrayal, though she couldn't say betrayal of what. Or whom. She returned it the next day, left it at the front desk addressed back to him. It reappeared at the reception desk the day after that. Beverly stared at it, frustrated, grateful, confused. Why did he care? Why couldn't he just let her drown quietly like everyone else? She kept the envelope in her locker, unopened. 3 days later, she worked a double shift that ended at 11 p.m. She was walking to the subway, exhausted, when she saw him. Joon-Seo, leaning against a black car in the facility parking lot. Waiting. Her feet stopped moving. He pushed off the car, walked toward her slowly. The parking lot lights cast strange shadows across his face. "You're working too much," he said. "I'm fine." "You returned the money again." "I don't need." "Beverly." He said her name like it was a full sentence. "Why do I care?" She blinked, caught off guard. "What?" "You're wondering why I care. Why I'm here. Why I won't let you return that envelope." He stepped closer, and she could smell rain on his coat even though it hadn't rained yet. "I've been asking myself the same thing. Mr. Kang. Do you know what I see when I look at you?" His voice was low, careful. Someone drowning in air. The words cut straight through her. Beverly felt her eyes burn. "I don't need saving," she whispered. "I'm not offering to save you." He held her gaze. "I'm offering to see you." Thunder rumbled overhead. The first drops of rain began to fall. "Why are you doing this?" Beverly's voice cracked. "You don't know me. We've barely spoken. I'm nobody. Don't." The sharpness in his voice surprised her. "Don't make yourself small. Not with me." The rain came harder now, soaking through her uniform. She should leave. Run to the subway. Go home to Kelvin. Instead, she stayed. "He's not good for you," Joon-Seo said quietly. "You don't know him. I know what it looks like when someone owns you instead of loves you." Something haunted crossed his face. I know because I've been someone who held too tight once. And I've spent years trying to learn the difference. Then why are you here? Her voice rose, frustration breaking through. Why are you doing this? Why won't you just leave me alone? Because I built my life avoiding exactly what I'm doing right now. Which is standing in the rain with someone I can't stop thinking about. The words hung between them, dangerous and honest. Beverly's phone rang. Kelvin's name lit up the screen. Once. Twice. 3 times. Joon-Seo glanced at it, but said nothing. I should, Beverly started. Go, he said. Not cold. Just accepting. But Beverly, when you're ready to stop running from yourself, I'll be here. She walked to the subway in the rain, phone ringing the entire way, and realized she was crying. When she got home, Kelvin was furious. Where were you? Why didn't you answer your phone? I was working. For 3 hours after your shift ended? He grabbed her phone, scrolling through. Who were you with? No one. You're lying. You're different. You've been different since I got here. His eyes were wild, wounded, accusing. You brought me here to humiliate me, didn't you? To show me you've moved on? Kelvin, that's insane. Then why do I feel like I'm losing you? He pulled her close, desperate now. I love you, Beverly. I came all this way. Why isn't that enough? And there it was. The question she'd been asking herself for 4 years. That night, Kelvin stormed out. Came back at 2 a.m. drunk, crying, begging forgiveness. Beverly let him sleep in the bed while she took the couch and stared at her phone until the sky turned gray. At 3 a.m., she sent a message. Beverly, can we talk tomorrow? KJS, yes. Anytime. She closed her eyes and finally let herself admit the truth. She didn't love Kelvin anymore. She was just afraid of what came next if she stopped. Joon-Seo's office was nothing like Beverly expected. She'd imagined cold glass and steel, the kind of space men like him occupied in movies. Instead, it was warm, dark wood, soft lighting, bookshelves filled with worn spines. A window overlooked the city, but the curtains were half drawn, like he preferred shadows to exposure. He sat across from her, hands folded on the desk, waiting. Beverly had asked to meet. Had practiced what she'd say on the subway ride over. But now, sitting here, the words felt too heavy to lift. I don't know where to start, she said finally. Start anywhere. So she did. She told him about Kelvin. About the first time he cheated, 2 years into their relationship, and how his apology had been so beautiful she'd convinced herself it was love. About the second time. The third. The patterns she'd ignored because leaving felt harder than staying. I sent money when he needed it. Listened when he called at 3 a.m. drunk and angry. Forgave him when he disappeared for weeks. Her voice shook. I thought I was being strong. That love meant enduring. Now I don't even know who I am anymore. Joon-Seo listened without interrupting. Didn't flinch at the ugly parts. Didn't offer solutions. Why did you stay? He asked gently. Beverly's throat tightened. Because I was afraid being alone meant I was unlovable. The admission hung in the air, raw and true. You're not, Joon-Seo said. Simple. Certain. You don't know me. I know enough. He leaned back. Beverly, I'm going to tell you something I don't share often. Because you've been honest with me, and you deserve honesty back. She waited, heart pounding. My businesses are legitimate on paper. But the world I operate in isn't clean. His voice remained steady, matter of fact. I have connections that most people wouldn't want to know about. People who solve problems quietly. I keep distance from others because my proximity is a risk. Beverly should have felt afraid. Instead, she felt oddly relieved. Like he'd just confirmed something she'd sensed all along. Why are you telling me this? Because with you, I can't maintain that distance. His eyes met hers. And you need to know what you're walking toward if you choose to walk toward me. That text, Beverly whispered. The one I sent by accident. Was the most honest thing anyone has said to me in years. His voice softened. You didn't want me. You wanted to be seen. And somehow, accidentally, you let me see you. Tears burned her eyes. Before she could stop herself, she was crying, not pretty tears, but the kind that hurt coming out. Years of holding herself together finally breaking. Joon-Seo stood, moved around the desk. He didn't pull her into his arms or shush her. He just reached for her hand and held it. Beverly, I cannot save you. And I will not tell you what to do. She looked up at him through blurred vision. But I need you to understand something. His thumb traced across her knuckles. If you choose to walk toward me, you walk toward uncertainty. Toward a life that isn't simple. And I will not let you do it half asleep in your pain. You need to be awake. You need to choose it with open eyes. The touch was simple. Just his hand holding hers. But it felt like the first honest thing she'd felt in years. Her phone buzzed on the desk between them. Once. Twice. Beverly ignored it. Then Grace's name flashed across the screen. Urgent. Call now. Beverly's stomach dropped. I'm sorry, I need to. Take it. She answered. Grace, what's wrong? Beverly, I need you to sit down. I'm sitting. What happened? I'm sending you something. Just. I'm so sorry, sister. A video file appeared in their message thread. Beverly's hands shook as she opened it. The video was grainy, clearly taken secretly in a bar. Lagos, from the looks of it. And there was Kelvin, arm around a woman Beverly didn't recognize. Except the woman was unmistakably pregnant. Very pregnant. Beverly's world tilted. Grace did some digging. Grace's voice came through the speaker. Her name is Amaka. She's claiming Kelvin is the father. That's why he came to Seoul. She started asking for money, for support, and he ran. The phone slipped from Beverly's hand. Joon-Seo picked it up, watched the video in silence. His expression didn't change, but something hardened in his eyes. Beverly. He knelt in front of her chair. What do you need right now? The question cut through the shock. Not, how do you feel? Not, are you okay? Just, what do you need? I need to not be the woman who ignored this, she heard herself say. I need to stop pretending I don't see what's right in front of me. Joon-Seo nodded once. Then let's go. Where? To end this. They confronted Kelvin at Beverly's apartment. Joon-Seo stood beside her, not in front, beside, as she unlocked the door. Kelvin was on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He looked up, saw them together, and his face shifted through emotions too fast to track. Baby, who's this? You know who he is. Beverly's voice was steadier than she felt. And I know about Amaka. Kelvin went pale. What, who? Don't. Beverly held up her phone, showed him the video. I'm done with the lies, Kelvin. I'm done with all of it. He stood, scrambled for words. It's not what you think. She's lying. That baby isn't mine. Stop. Beverly, please, you have to believe me. She's just trying to trap me. The way I trapped you? Her voice rose. By loving you? By forgiving you? By sending you money and ignoring every single red flag. You pushed me away. Kelvin's tone changed, desperate and angry. You came to Korea and became someone else. You made me lonely. What was I supposed to do? Joon-Seo's presence shifted. Beverly felt it without looking, the quiet danger that had been contained suddenly closer to the surface. You have 2 days to leave Korea, Joon-Seo said. His voice was calm, but something in it made the room feel smaller. I'll arrange the ticket. You'll be on a flight back to Lagos by Wednesday. Kelvin laughed, sharp and bitter. You think you can just... Who the hell do you think you are? Someone who's asking politely. Once. Beverly, you're really going to let him threaten me? Kelvin looked at her, wounded and furious. This is what you want? Him. This isn't about him. This is about me finally choosing myself. No. Kelvin's expression twisted. This is about you thinking you're better than me now. But you're not, Beverly. You're just another broke Nigerian girl playing caregiver in a country that doesn't want you. And you think he gestured at Joon-Seo, actually cares about you? Men like him don't end up with women like you. Joon-Seo moved then, stepped forward just slightly. Didn't touch Kelvin. Didn't need to. Leave, he said quietly. Now. Kelvin grabbed his bag, but at the door, he turned back. His eyes glittered with something cruel. You think I don't know about you, Kang Joon-Seo? His voice dropped. I've been asking around. I know what you do. Who you work with. One phone call to the right authorities and your whole world crumbles. Beverly's blood went cold. And unless Beverly stays with me, unless she tells you to leave her alone, I make that call. Kelvin smiled, poisonous and triumphant. So, what's it going to be, baby? Him? Or me? The silence that followed felt like drowning. Everything fell apart in 48 hours. Kelvin disappeared after the confrontation, but his threats hung in the air like smoke. Beverly couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time her phone buzzed, she flinched. Joon-Seo had people looking for him, but Kelvin had learned how to hide. He'd been gathering information for weeks, talking to street contacts, anyone connected to Joon-Seo's businesses. He knew enough to be dangerous. Enough to bring attention that men like Joon-Seo couldn't afford. And he was using a maca. The pregnant woman had started posting on social media, claiming Kelvin abandoned her. Nigerian bloggers picked up the story. Beverly's name appeared in comment sections, tagged in posts. People she'd never met had opinions about her life. The pressure crushed down from every side. "This is my fault," Beverly said. They were sitting in Joon-Seo's car, parked outside Serenity Gardens. "I brought him here. I brought this danger to you. You didn't know. That's not an excuse." She turned to him. "You were right. My proximity is poison." "Don't say that." "Why not?" "It's true. Everyone I touch, I damage. My family sacrificed so much for me, and I'm still sending money I can barely afford. Kelvin used me for years, and I let him. And now you," her voice broke. "Now you're at risk because of me." "Beverly, I'm leaving." The words hung between them, heavy and final. "I'm booking a ticket back to Nigeria. This week. Before Kelvin does something worse." She wouldn't look at him. "You'll be safer without me here." Joon-Seo was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was carefully neutral. "If that's what you need to do, you're not going to fight me on it?" "No." He stared straight ahead through the windshield. "I told you I wouldn't save you from your own choices. I meant it." Beverly felt something crack in her chest. She'd wanted him to argue, to tell her to stay. But instead, he was giving her exactly what she'd asked for. Freedom. And it felt like losing. The woman appeared at Serenity Gardens the next day. Beverly was changing shifts when she saw her in the waiting area, elegant, sharp-featured, wearing the kind of clothes that cost more than Beverly's monthly rent. She was looking at her phone, but when Beverly passed, she looked up. "Beverly Okafor?" Beverly stopped. "Yes, I'm Lee Min-seo." The woman stood, extended a hand. Her grip was cool, firm. "I need to talk to you about Joon-Seo." The name sent ice through Beverly's veins. "How do you?" "I was his fiancé. Before." The world tilted slightly. Beverly hadn't known there was a fiancé. Hadn't thought to ask. "I heard he's been involved with someone new," Min-seo continued, her voice measured. "I wanted to warn you." "Warn me?" "He destroys what he loves by trying to protect it." Min-seo's eyes were kind but cold. "I left because I couldn't breathe anymore. The secrets. The danger. The way he pushed me away every time things got real." She paused. "You will too. Eventually." Beverly wanted to argue, but the words felt too familiar. Hadn't Joon-Seo been doing exactly that? Keeping distance even while pulling her close? "Ask him about Sung-min," Min-seo said quietly. "Then decide if you can live with that kind of guilt." She left before Beverly could respond. That night, Beverly searched the name. Found old news articles in Korean, ran them through translation apps. Kang Sung-min, age 23. Died 5 years ago in what police called a targeted incident. Younger brother of Kang Joon-Seo. The articles hinted at business disputes, dangerous connections, a family that had tried to leave certain worlds behind and failed. Beverly understood then. Joon-Seo kept people at distance not because he didn't care, but because he'd lost someone he couldn't protect. And the guilt had taught him that loving someone meant putting them in danger. She was crying when Kelvin showed up. He appeared at the care facility drunk, shouting in the parking lot. Beverly heard the commotion from inside, her name being called, slurred accusations about cheating and betrayal. Security tried to remove him, but he fought back. Made a scene. Patients' families watched. Her supervisor pulled her aside, face tight with concern. "Beverly, I'm going to need you to go home for the day. We'll talk about this tomorrow." The humiliation burned like acid. Beverly gathered her things, walked past coworkers who wouldn't meet her eyes. Outside, Kelvin was gone. Security had called the police, but he'd run before they arrived. The next morning, Beverly received a formal letter from immigration. Someone had filed a complaint about a domestic disturbance involving her visa status. The investigation would take weeks. Her ability to work might be suspended. She knew exactly who had made the call. Joon-Seo's people found Kelvin that night. Beverly didn't ask how. Didn't want to know. Joon-Seo called her at midnight, voice carefully controlled. It's handled. What does that mean? He had two options. Take 10 million Korean wons and leave Korea immediately, or face consequences he wouldn't enjoy. He took the money. Beverly should have felt relief. Instead, she felt dirty. You paid him. I removed a problem. You bought him off. Her voice rose. Like I'm something that can be purchased. That's not. That's exactly what it is. Beverly's hands shook. I'm just another transaction to both of you. Kelvin used me for money and stability. You're using me for what? Entertainment? A project. Beverly, that's not fair. You're right. None of this is fair. She was crying now, exhausted and broken. I need to save myself, Joon-Seo. I can't keep letting men, even good ones, make my choices for me. What are you saying? I'm saying thank you. For everything. But I'm leaving. She took a shaking breath. I booked a ticket. I leave in 4 days. Silence stretched between them, full of things neither could say. If that's what you need, he said finally. Quietly. Then I hope you find peace, Beverly. The line went dead. Beverly packed her bags that night and ignored the text that came through an hour later. Kelvin, he bought you. That's all you're worth. I hope it was expensive. She blocked his number and lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling like she'd somehow traded one prison for another. And the worst part? She'd fallen in love with Joon-Seo somewhere along the way. Real love. The kind that made her want to be brave. But she was too tired to be brave anymore. Beverly's apartment looked hollow with half her life packed into suitcases. For days until her flight. For days to pretend she was making the right choice. She folded clothes with mechanical precision, her eyes dry because she'd cried herself empty the night before. Kelvin was gone. Back to Lagos with Joon-Seo's money and whatever dignity he had left. Joon-Seo was respecting her distance the way he respected everything, quietly, completely, in a way that made her ache. She reached for her work bag to pack her toiletries and felt something heavy inside. The envelope. The one she'd returned twice. Beverly pulled it out, hands trembling. Inside, the money was still there, Korean 1200,000 she'd refused to accept. But there was a new note, handwritten in that clean script she'd come to recognize. This is not payment. This is parachute. Choose your own landing. Jay. She sat on the floor and let herself cry again after all. The knock on her door came an hour later. Grace stood there with 2 cups of coffee and the expression of someone who wasn't leaving until they'd said their piece. You're really doing this? Grace walked in without waiting for invitation. Running back to Lagos? I'm not running. Sister, I love you, but yes you are. Grace set the coffee down. And I understand. God knows I understand running from complicated men. But I need to ask you something. Beverly wiped her eyes. What? Are you running from pain, or are you running from love? The question landed heavy. Beverly, you've spent years choosing men who need you. Who take from you. Who make you small so they can feel big. Grace sat beside her on the floor. When are you going to choose the man who sees you? It's not that simple. It never is. You want to hear something? Grace's voice softened. I stayed in an abusive marriage for 10 years. 10 years. My ex-husband never hit me, but he destroyed me in quieter ways. Criticism. Control. Making me doubt my own mind. Beverly looked at her, shocked. Grace, I didn't know. I never talk about it. But I'm telling you now because I need you to understand something. Grace took her hand. When I finally met someone good, someone who respected me, who gave me space to breathe, I ran. Just like you're doing now. Because healthy love felt wrong. It felt boring. It didn't have that drama I'd learned to confuse with passion. What happened? I lost him. And I spent 2 years regretting it before I learned the difference. Grace squeezed her hand. Running from pain is wisdom, Beverly. But running from love? That's tragedy. You need to know which one you're doing. Beverly stared at her packed suitcases, at the envelope with Joon-Seo's note, at the life she was trying to leave behind. What if I'm poison? She whispered. What if everyone I touch gets hurt? What if you're not? What if you've just been loving people who were already broken and blamed yourself for not fixing them? The words cut through everything. After Grace left, Beverly sat alone with her phone in her hands. 3 days of silence from Joon-Seo. 3 days of him respecting her choice even though it was killing her. She dialed his number before she could lose her nerve. He answered on the first ring. Beverly. Just her name. But the way he said it, like relief and pain mixed together, nearly broke her. I need to ask you something, and I need the truth. Always. Did you pay Kelvin because you wanted to control me or protect me? Silence stretched between them. Beverly held her breath. I paid him because I was afraid, Joon-Seo said finally. His voice was raw in a way she'd never heard. Not of him. Of loving you and failing you the way I failed Sungmin. Beverly's eyes burned. Your brother. You know about him. I looked him up. After Min-Seo told me to. She came to see you? His voice tightened. Yes. She warned me. Told me you destroy what you love by protecting it. Beverly took a shaking breath. But I don't think that's true. I think you're just terrified of losing people. I am. The admission was quiet. Honest. I watched my brother die because I couldn't protect him from the world I'd brought him into. And I swore I'd never let that happen again. That I'd never love anyone enough to put them at risk. Joon-Seo. And then you sent me that text. That accidentally honest, heartbreaking text. And I couldn't stop thinking about you. Couldn't stop wanting to know you. Couldn't maintain the distance I'd built my entire life around. Beverly pressed her hand to her chest, feeling her heart race. Do you love me? The question came out barely a whisper. The silence that followed lasted forever. Then, yes. Entirely. And it terrifies me. Beverly closed her eyes. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but these felt different. Clear. Like something washing clean. I've been running, she said. From healthy love. Because it feels unfamiliar. Because Kelvin's chaos felt like passion, and I confused suffering with devotion. She laughed through her tears. And your restraint, I thought it was rejection. But it was respect, wasn't it? Always. I don't want to run anymore. What do you want? I want to choose you. But not because I need saving. Not because I'm afraid to be alone. Beverly looked at her packed suitcase. I want to choose you because I'm finally awake. And I see you. Really see you. Beverly. I'm changing my flight. Not canceling. Just delaying. 1 week. Her voice grew stronger. I'm not staying because I need you, Joon-Seo. I'm staying to see if I want to choose you. There's a difference. She heard him exhale, long and unsteady. That's the only reason worth staying, he said quietly. They stayed on the phone in silence for a moment, just breathing together across the distance. I'll see you tomorrow? Beverly asked. Whenever you're ready. After they hung up, Beverly stood and started unpacking one of her suitcases. Not all of them. Just one. A choice, not a surrender. The knock came an hour later. Beverly opened the door to find Min-Seo standing there, elegant and composed as before. But her expression was different now. Softer. I owe you an apology, Min-Seo said without preamble. Beverly blinked. For what? For projecting my fear onto you. For assuming you'd break the same way I did. Min-Seo's eyes held something like regret. I was wrong. He's different now. You changed something in him I couldn't. I don't understand. I left Joon-Seo because I wanted him to choose me over his guilt. Over his need to protect everyone. Over his past. Min-Seo's voice was quiet. But you didn't ask him to choose. You just saw him. All of him. And loved him anyway. Beverly felt tears threaten again. I'm still figuring out if I can do this. You can. Because you're not trying to fix him. You're just trying to be honest. Min-Seo smiled faintly. That's what he needs. What he's always needed. She turned to leave, then paused. He's a good man, Beverly. Complicated. Haunted. But good. And he loves you in a way he never loved me. No bitterness in her voice. Just truth. Don't waste it. Beverly watched her walk away and felt something shift inside her chest. Hope. Real hope. The kind that didn't come from desperation but from clarity. She picked up her phone and sent one more message. Beverly, I'm ready. When can I see you? Joon-Seo, now. I'm outside. Beverly's heart stopped. She looked out her window and saw him leaning against his car in the street below, phone in hand, looking up at her building like he'd been waiting there for hours. Maybe he had been. She grabbed her jacket and ran. The call came at 11 p.m., 3 days after Beverly decided to stay. Unknown number. Beverly almost didn't answer. But something made her pick up. Beverly? Kelvin's voice, panicked and slurred. Beverly, I messed up. I messed up so bad. Her entire body went cold. What did you do? The money, I gambled it. I thought I could double it, pay off some debts back home, but his breathing was ragged. There are people here. Bad people. They know about Joon-Seo. They're using me to get to him. What are you talking about? They're coming for you. They said if I don't bring them Joon-Seo's money, real money, they'll hurt you to make him pay. Beverly, I'm sorry, I didn't mean. The line went dead. Beverly's hands shook as she tried to call back. Nothing. She dialed Joon-Seo immediately. Kelvin just called. He said, I know. Stay inside. Lock your doors. I'm sending someone. How do you know? Because they already contacted me. His voice was tight, controlled. Beverly, listen to me carefully. Do not open your door for anyone except the man I'm sending. His name is Gene. He'll identify himself. Do you understand? I'm scared. I know. But you're going to be safe. I promise you. 20 minutes later, Beverly heard footsteps in the hallway. A knock. Beverly Okafor? My name is Jean. Mr. Kang sent me. She opened the door to find a young man in a dark jacket, calm and professional. I'm here to take you somewhere safe. The stairwell door burst open. 2 men appeared, moving fast. Jean stepped in front of Beverly, but they weren't interested in fighting. Come with us, Miss Okafor. No one needs to get hurt. She's not going anywhere, Jean started. We're not asking. The taller man's voice was matter-of-fact. This is between Kang and us. She's just insurance. Beverly's mind raced. She could scream. Fight. But these men didn't look violent, they looked tired. Like this was just business. I'll go, she said. Beverly, no. It's fine. She looked at Jean. Tell Joon-Seo where I am. Tell him. She swallowed hard. Tell him I trust him. They took her to a warehouse in Incheon. Not a dark, terrifying place, just empty and industrial. They sat her in a chair, didn't tie her up, didn't threaten her. One of them even brought her water. We don't want trouble, the tall one said. We just want our money. Kang will understand. Beverly studied them. They were young. Nervous. Not professionals, just desperate. How much does Kelvin owe you? 15 million won. And you think taking me will make Joon-Seo pay? It's leverage. That's how this works. Beverly took a breath, thinking. Joon-Seo had told her things about his world, not everything, but enough. About how disputes got settled. About leverage and respect. What if there's another way, she said carefully. Like what? Kelvin has family in Nigeria. His mother owns property. If I testify that Kelvin acted alone, that you had nothing to do with coercing him, you could pursue legal collection. International debt recovery. She was making it up as she went, using fragments of things she'd overheard. Less risk than going after Joon-Seo. The men exchanged glances. Why would you help us? Because I'm tired of being a pawn. And because if this ends with violence, everyone loses. They were still considering when the warehouse door opened. Joon-Seo walked in alone. No guards. No weapons. Just him in a dark coat, moving like he owned the space. Kang. The tall man stood. We weren't expecting you so soon. I came to settle this. Joon-Seo's eyes found Beverly, scanned her for injury. She nodded slightly, I'm okay. 15 million, the man said. I brought 20. Joon-Seo set a bag on the table. 5 extra for the inconvenience. But this ends tonight. You take the money. You release her and Kelvin. And we never speak of this again. And if we don't? Then you learn why people don't use leverage against me twice. His voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. I have documentation of your operations. Your suppliers. Your distribution networks. One phone call and you're done. The silence stretched. The money's fair, Beverly interjected. Take it. Move on. The men looked at each other, then at the bag. Finally, the tall one nodded. This is done. They released Beverly. Joon-Seo's hand found hers immediately, solid and warm. They walked out together without looking back. In the car, Beverly started shaking. Adrenaline crashing. Joon-Seo pulled over, held her while she trembled. You negotiated with them, he said quietly. You tried to find another way. I didn't want violence. You were incredible. Beverly pulled back to look at him. Were you really going to destroy them? If I had to? Yes. His eyes were honest. But I would have regretted it. Finding another way was better. Is Kelvin on a flight to Lagos? Leaves in 2 hours. I made sure of it. They sat in silence. Take me home, Beverly said finally. You're home. Joon-Seo's house was nothing like Beverly expected. Not cold. Not ostentatious. Just him. Dark wood, comfortable furniture, shelves overflowing with books. Large windows overlooking the city. They sat on his couch for an hour without speaking. Processing. Breathing. Are you glad I stayed? Beverly asked finally. I'm terrified you stayed. Joon-Seo turned to her. And more terrified you might still leave. Beverly reached for him, cupped his face. I'm not leaving. She kissed him first. Not desperate. Not uncertain. Just clear. Choosing. Joon-Seo responded slowly, like he was memorizing her. His hands gentle in her hair on her waist, learning her. The kiss deepened, turned into something urgent and real. Beverly, he breathed against her mouth. Are you sure? I'm sure. He led her to his bedroom. They undressed slowly, discovering each other. When he touched her, it felt like being seen. Really seen. Not owned. Not needed. Just wanted. Chosen. Their intimacy was intense, built on honesty instead of desperation. Beverly had been held before. But this, lying afterward in Joon-Seo's arms, his heartbeat steady against her ear, this was different. I need to know all of you, she whispered. The dangerous parts too. I'll tell you everything. His fingers traced patterns on her shoulder. But not tonight. Tonight, just let me hold you. I've been held before. Beverly looked up at him. This is the first time I feel like I'm not falling. Joon-Seo kissed her forehead. From the nightstand, he pulled out a folder. I started this before I met you, he said quietly. But you made me finish it faster. Beverly opened it. Legal documents. Business transitions. Exit strategies from the gray areas of his work. You're leaving it all? I'm becoming legitimate. Fully. It'll take time, but... He met her eyes. You're not my redemption, Beverly. You're my reason. She kissed him again, tasting the promise. 6 months later, Beverly stood in her own apartment and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. The space was small, a studio in Mapo, nothing fancy, but the lease had her name on it. Not Kelvin's. Not even Joon-Seo's, though he'd helped with the deposit. Her name. Her choice. Her life. She was studying for her nursing certification now, books spread across the table she'd bought secondhand. The caregiving work had been good, but she wanted more. Wanted to build something that belonged to her alone. Joon-Seo supported it completely, never questioning, never pushing. Just believing in her in a way that still made her throat tight. She still sent money home to Lagos every month. But less now. With boundaries that her mother had fought at first, then slowly accepted. Beverly was learning that love didn't mean emptying yourself for others. That she could help her family without disappearing in the process. Kelvin had sent one text 2 months ago. A long apology. Rambling and self-pitying and almost honest. Beverly had read it once, then archived it without responding. Not out of anger. Just closure. He was someone she used to know. Someone she used to be. Grace had told her last week that Amaka had the baby, a beautiful girl. And the DNA test confirmed what Amaka finally admitted. Kelvin wasn't the father. Never had been. She'd been desperate, scared, and Kelvin had been an easy target. Beverly felt sorry for both of them. But mostly, she felt grateful she was no longer part of that story. Joon-Seo had kept his promise. He'd exited the dangerous parts of his business completely. It had taken months of careful transitions, quiet negotiations, legal restructuring. Now he ran legitimate logistics, boring, legal, clean. He seemed lighter somehow, like he'd been carrying weight he could finally set down. They didn't live together yet. Both of them choosing slow, choosing intentional. Beverly saw a therapist now, a kind woman who helped her understand that she was learning to recognize love that doesn't hurt. Joon-Seo was learning too. Learning to let someone in without waiting for tragedy. Learning that loving her didn't mean losing her. Beverly's phone buzzed on the table. She picked it up, saw his name, and smiled before she even read the message. Joon-Seo, I need you now. Her heart stopped for just a second, old instincts, old fears. Then she read the rest. Joon-Seo, I'm at the bookstore. Can't decide between these two for you. Come help. Beverly laughed, the sound bright and free in her small apartment. She typed back, fingers steady. Beverly, I need you too. The kind of need that feels like choice. His reply came immediately. Joon-Seo, that's the only kind worth having. Beverly grabbed her jacket, checked her reflection in the mirror by the door. She looked different now. Not just older or happier. More like herself. Like someone who'd been lost and found her way home. The bookstore was 15 minutes away on foot. She walked through Seoul's evening streets, city lights reflecting off windows, people hurrying past with their own stories. 6 months ago, she'd been running. From pain, from love, from herself. Now she was walking toward something. Toward someone. Not because she needed saving, but because she wanted to arrive. She saw him through the bookstore window before he saw her. Joon-Seo stood in the literature section, holding 2 books, looking genuinely conflicted. When he looked up and spotted her, his whole face changed. Softened. Opened. Beverly walked inside, and he met her halfway. Hi, she said. Hi. He showed her the books. I can't decide. This one's poetry. This one's essays about home and belonging. Which do you want? Beverly pretended to consider, then smiled. Both. Both? Both. She took his hand. I want both. He understood she wasn't just talking about books. He kissed her forehead, pulled her close, and Beverly felt it again, that sense of not falling. Of being held by someone who saw all of her and chose to stay anyway. They bought both books. Walked to their favorite cafe. Talked about nothing and everything. And when Joon-Seo walked her home later, kissed her goodnight at her door like they had all the time in the world, Beverly realized something. That message she'd sent 6 months ago, the one meant for the wrong person, sent in desperation and pain, hadn't been a mistake at all. It had been the beginning of the rest of her life. Not perfect. Not without fear or uncertainty. But real. Honest. Hers. And for the first time in years, Beverly wasn't just surviving. She was living. That's Beverly and Joon-Seo's story. A love that started with a mistake and became the most honest thing either of them had ever known. If this story touched you, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss another story. And I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Have you ever made a mistake that turned out to be exactly what you needed? Sometimes the wrong number leads to the right person. Sometimes getting lost is how we finally find ourselves. Thank you for watching. See you in the next story.